Hello, my name is Josh Parmar, and I am a first year business student at Cambrian College. And today I'm going to be teaching you Learning Outcome 1 in my financial math class. All right. So let's get to my PowerPoint here. All right. Okay. So, Learning Outcome 1. Let's get right to it. In Learning Outcome 1, we will learn how to calculate interest rates, simple and compounded interest. And we will learn how to calculate the number of compounding periods. We will also learn how to compute future value and present value. And we will learn how to solve problems with equivalent values and one unknown. All right, let's get into it. Here's some terms that we should know how to know what they mean. So interest is basically it's a fee that you pay when you borrow money from somebody. It's a percentage of the principal that you borrow usually, and there's a few types of interest. Today we're going to be going over simple and compounded interest. All right. So simple interest being interest that doesn't change. It's only on the initial principal that you receive, and then compounded interest is a little bit different. All right. So compounded interest is basically accumulated interest, right? On both of the principal and the interest like that you are going to be paying, right? So it accumulates. More terms that we should know before getting into our question. IY being your nominal interest rate. So that is your the percentage of interest you will be paying on the money that you borrow. I being your periodic interest rate. Um, N being your number of compounding periods. So that is in total how many times your interest is going to be compounded before you're able to pay. And then CY being compounds per year. So that is how many times your interest is compounded every year. All right. So today we're going to be using the BA2 plus financial calculator. I'll pull that up right now so we can just take a quick look at what we're going to be using. This is very, very important. So we should get familiar with this. I'll just give you a quick rundown. So basically, we're going to be using this to calculate unknown values. As you can see, we have all of our terms here. We have N, IY, PV, FV, and all that. So, all right, we'll come back to this. Trust me, don't you worry. Um, all right, so we're gonna get right into our question here. I'll read that for you. Your brother has missed two bill payments. The first was for A amount of money 7 months ago, A being $3,851 that he didn't pay 7 months ago, and the second payment B from last month being $5,116. Um, you are willing to accept payment C 1 month from now being $5,000 and a second payment in full 6 months from now. Um, if the agreed upon rate is D, being 6.80% compounded monthly, what is the amount of the second payment? All right. So basically, we're looking for the payment that is due in full 6 months from now. All right. Okay. This is our timeline. The timeline is going to be very important to figuring out the question, makes it a lot easier to understand. As you can see, I've already taken the liberty to kind of assemble a little bit of the timeline, but we'll do some more here. We got to put our values in. We got to find out if we're looking for present values or future values here. As you can see, there's our values, and then the payment C, the $5,000. You can see that it is going to be a present value because it's going backwards. If we were looking for something in the future, it would be future value. As you can see, with these two payments, we're trying to find their value or how much they'd be worth today in the present. All right, so we're looking for their future value. All right, so step one, pretty simple. We just got to find our variables here. We're looking for our IY and CY. I already have them written down here, but I'll go show you how I figured them out. Okay, we'll just get through this. And we're going to go back to our question. All right. So our CY is our interest rate. And as you can see here, they give us that. That is 6.8%. And then our CY is how many times the interest is compounded how many times the interest is compounded. And here it gives us compounded monthly. So it's going to be 12. It's going to be 12, right? Because there's 12 months in a year and monthly. So 12 times. All right. So now we're going to be trying to find the value of these missed payments. All right. So I've already written down some things here. PV1, present value one, being the $5,116, payment B that was missed. All right. And then our N being the number of times it has been compounded or it will be compounded. So we're going to take this over to the calculator here and try to figure out our value. All right. So, first things first, we're going to want to do n. We're going to want to do our equation for n. So, n being 1 divided by 12, which equals very small, decimal numbers. Then we're going to have to times that by 12 here again. And that brings us 1. All right. Brings us 1. That's what we're looking for. So, we're going to go back here, look at some of the values we have. So next things we're going to do is we're going to put in our present value. And something about the calculator that you should know is when you're entering your present value, you always want to make that a negative, just the way it is, really. So that's what we're going to do here. I'm going to move myself out of the way so we can see 5,116. We're going to make that a negative, and then we're going to press PV for present value. So now that knows that our present value is 5,116. Let's see. Okay, we know 1 is our N, so we're going to want to press that. And then for the IY, we know it's 6.8. And we want to keep it in percentages. We don't want to change it over to decimal numbers. So we're going to put that in IY here. And the next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to put in our CY. So to do that, we want to go second function, IY, and then you're going to put in the number here, which was 12, and then you're going to want to press enter. And then when that's all done, you're going to want to press clear. All right. And then now we're ready to figure out our value, our future value. So compute future value 5,144. So we're going to put that in here. And luckily, way ahead of you. I already put it in and rounded it to 2 decimals. All right. So we're going to want to do the same thing for the second unknown or second future value that we're trying to figure out. And the good thing about that is that the BA calculator is going to keep some of the values that we don't need to replace here. So we're going to have to put in our present value. Well, you know what? We're going to start with n here, okay? So n being 7 divided by 12, which equals another decimal number, but we're going to times that by 12, and that equals 7. So, okay, so we're going to press n. So now n equals 7. And the only other thing we're going to have to change here is our present value being 3,851. And of course, here making sure that you are making that a negative before you do anything. Don't want to mess with the calculator here. All right, perfect. And since it's the same IY, CY, we don't have to change those. So we can go right into computing the future value, which is 4,006 and 38 cents. All right. And already have that here, of course. And so next thing we're going to want to do is calculate how much these are together. So we're just going to add them together here. So 4,006, and then we're going to do the 5,144, so plus 5,144.99, which equals 9,151 and 37 cents. And of course, already have it here. All right, so now we're going to go on to our next step, being step three. So we need to find today's value of payment C. Okay, so we already know the future value. This one's going to be a little different because we're not looking for the future value this time. We're looking for the present value. So we're going to start with n here, n being 1 divided by 12, which equals decimal number. And then we're going to multiply that by 12, and then we get 1 here. Okay? And since we have the same IY and CY again, there will be no need to change those. And now we're going to put in our 5,000 for future value. And then we're just going to go right ahead and compute our present value, being 4,971 and 83 cents. All right. So we got that. And now we're on to step four. Okay. So we're going to calculate the value of the final payment 6 months from now. All right. And so this number right here, the 4,179 and 54 cents, is the difference between the first two missed payments and then payment C and today's value. So we're going to want to take those off of each other, and then we come up with this number right here. All right. So we're going to go back ahead into the calculator, and then we're going to figure out what we need to put in here. So we're calculating for future value because we already have the present value. Okay. So we're going to start with n again, n always because it is a equation you should put in. So 6 divided by 12 gives us that, and then we're going to multiply that by 12, and then that'll give us 6. So 6 for n, and then we're going to want to go ahead and put in our present value here, which is 4,179 and 54 cents. 4,179 and 54 cents. All right. We're going to want to make that a negative. Okay. Put that in for present value. And we're going to go ahead and compute our future value here being $4,323.67. Let's see what we had here. Yep, right. And then, so this would be our final answer. The payment 6 months from now would be $4,323.67. All right. Well, I just want to thank you for listening to my little lesson here on Learning Outcome One, and I just hope that it helped you with any questions that you had. Or yeah, thank you very much for listening.